Today on the TMZ Podcast.
Welcome to the TMZ Podcast. Eric here.
Eric here.
Welcome. We got Eric. He's back from vacation.
That's right.
Had a lovely time visiting the Kennedy Museum. Should have gone to the Nixon Museum. But
I've been there before, too.
Which is better. I mean, I feel like we should just get this out. I know you know my position.
Nixon had a longer presidency. There's more stuff there.
There it is.
Plus
And we're
all
done
that fun Watergate stuff, all the scandals. That's really good.
It's true. More exciting stuff. And they don't cover Maryland in the Kennedy one.
They don't.
You're not going to make a good museum without that. All right. We've got a lot of interesting stories today. I want to start off with some sad news. So doctors are concerned about Queen Elizabeth II's health and have assembled the family to her castle in Balmoral. She's 96 years old. This is one of the longest reigning monarchs in history.
I think she is the longest
she might be
reigning.
number one.
And this is not, obviously she's 96.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be concerns about her health.
And she's a widow. Prince Philip passed away a few years ago.
But the fact that Buckingham Palace, who's usually very tight-lipped about all these kind of personal things, is saying that they're basically just trying to make her comfortable, and that all the families coming in, Harry and Meghan are flying in.
That to me is the strongest indication. So that when the troubled outsiders who have caused all the drama are being assembled, it'd be one thing to bring the nuclear family for a visit with grandma, but when you bring in the outsiders, it's an indication, a strong indication to me that something momentous is about to happen, and probably quite sad. I mean, 96, there aren't too many surprises that they could be playing tight to the vest. She's 96. She's in failing health. There is a picture of her from September 6th. So a couple days ago, where she's shaking hands with Liz Truss, the new prime minister who replaced Boris Johnson. And her hand looks very, very bruised. Yeah, and that's I've watched my grandparents age. If you have IVs and things that are being poked and prodded in you, you get bruised skin pretty easily.
And we should say that we are recording this on Thursday morning, so there may be announcements from the royal family later today or tomorrow. More information may be coming on this, but as of now, this is what we know.
This is the announcement. Let's give the exact announcement from Buckingham Palace, because as Eric said, they're usually very tight-lipped. They don't release a lot of information. They leave things very vague. But this is what they said. They said, the Queen remains under medical supervision. Following further evaluation this morning, the Queen's doctors are concerned for Her Majesty's health and have recommended she remain under medical supervision. The Queen remains comfortable and at Balmoral. So it is an indication that things are declining in terms of her health, and we'll have to see. I think Meghan and Harry coming out is a good sign that maybe there'll be some reconciliation at the end. This could be the moment that everyone sort of comes together. This is a very fractured family right now, and maybe her death has a sort of positive spin,
because she's not just the grandmother, or the mother. She's the Queen, and has been such an incredibly strong presence, certainly in their lives, and almost all of us have only lived during her reign.
I think of her from The Naked Gun. You remember the movie The Naked Gun? So it was a silly movie. Leslie
spoiler,
Nielsen.
that wasn't really her.
I know, not really her, but she was already like such an iconic figure that having her on a baseball field trying to assassinate someone was incredibly funny. She's such a towering figure. She has been there since the 50s.
I was looking this up actually this morning. So with meeting Liz Truss a few days ago, that is the 16th prime minister.
It's unreal.
The current prime minister, when she became queen, was Winston Churchill.
Old man Winston was her first handshake with a prime minister.
When she became queen, she's had 14 presidents. The first one was Harry Truman. Imagine if Harry Truman was still the president. That's insane how long she's been the queen.
It is absolutely remarkable. What a lot. And it's been notwithstanding these last few years where there's been a lot of drama, she has reigned in a sort of very dignified fashion for the entirety. And the world has changed so much. Media attention has changed so much. She had obviously her son and Princess Diana. Had a rough marriage.
There was barely television when she became queen. That was a new concept.
It's remarkable.
And now she's dealing with social media.
Yeah, and so the big question going forward, if she passes, there will be a lot of tributes, but Prince Charles, who's not a young man, will ascend to the throne. And then what happens? So there's some speculation that he will take the crown and hold on to it for dear life until he passes. And also some people said William looks to be ready. And there was a lot of talk that she might she could have had the power to skip Prince Charles and
don't
give it
think
to
she'll
William.
do
I
that.
don't think she'll do that.
I don't think she'll do that.
And I do think Prince Charles wants to reign. I mean, he has seemed like a guy.
At least for a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
But Charles is in his 70s?
Yeah, he may not
Late
like
60s?
all the power. He may not enjoy that much attention. So we'll see. It's an interesting sort of development. But the family remains strong, and we'll see what happens. And obviously, very sad news. Keep following the website, and we'll provide updates as they come available. I want to go to a next story. Go ahead.
Ricky Martin is, the whole drama with his nephew that said Ricky had a relationship with him and then stalked him. And then the nephew in court withdrew basically his whole statement saying, okay, no, not really.
Yes.
Now Ricky Martin is suing his nephew for $20 million, saying that he cost him so many career opportunities, so much money. It was a very damaging accusation, of course.
Yes.
I think Ricky Martin is totally right to do this because he's not going to get $20 million from his nephew.
Yeah.
And I think he knows that. I think it's to make the statement because it was such a public besmirching of his name. Everybody was like, oh, he's a monster, he's over, he's done. And then almost as immediately as it happened, it was over. And he wants to remind people, I didn't do that.
Yes.
And I need to legally
back.
prove, put that behind me. None of that was true. This kid has mental issues, which is what he said. So I think that's definitely why I think he's pursuing this lawsuit.
I think you're right. It's incredibly sad, and it doesn't look like he is doing this with relish. He's doing this very reluctantly. I mean, this is a person, his name is Dennis. He is the son of Ricky Martin's sister, and he describes the context of what happened here with a little more detail than we've gotten before. Because remember, the news that trickled out about the restraining order that he got was strange and vague. We didn't even know the person who had filed for it. There were allegations of being in an underage relationship with a family member. It was very strange and very damaging. And at first, Ricky Martin sort of tried to play it quiet, but then sort of the news came out, and now he really needs to sort of address what he says is happening. And what he says is happening is this nephew bragged about being Ricky Martin's nephew for a long time, reached out to him, incessantly bombarded him with text messages, sometimes 10 a day, saying, you changed my life. And Ricky...
And was also hitting him up for money, he says.
And wants to be paid now in the aftermath of walking...
To stop talking, but...
It's very, very strange, but he says this started to get out of control when the messages from the nephew, which were initially, he said, just sort of, seeking advice and harmless, and Ricky would respond to some of them. He says they started to get alarming when the kid tried to create an Instagram page for one of Ricky Martin's children. And Ricky Martin said, that's a no-no. And then he posted Ricky Martin's cell phone number, which obviously a huge celebrity, if their cell phone number is posted publicly, is going to get bombarded. Ricky had to change his cell phone number, and then things got out of control. That's when the TRO happened. And Ricky's saying, I need to put a stop to this. This is harming my career. I've missed out on tens of millions of dollars of opportunities. And you're right. I don't think he thinks he can collect from Dennis.
No.
Dennis is not a guy who's got $20 million.
If
but
somebody's hitting you up for money,
message.
you're probably not going to get any from them.
Yes.
And Ricky Martin doesn't need that $20 million, probably.
No.
He's a very wealthy person.
Yes.
But I think it's to prove the point and to establish very publicly none of this was true.
Yes.
And to Ricky's credit, I think, he's never really gone on the offensive against his nephew. He's said he's maladjusted.
Yes.
That there are like a lot of mental issues and emotional problems. So it seems like he's kind of sad about it through all of this.
Yes. Here's the problem. When you sue someone who, if what Ricky is saying, this kid is maladjusted and facing some demons, it's hard to discipline them with a lawsuit. This could turn into a larger conflagration, right? I mean, this could
but at this
trigger
point,
that person.
You might have to. Like, when
at
the
some point
person's
you
trying
have
to
draw a
create,
line.
And Ricky Martin has always been a very private person.
Yep.
And if this person is trying to create social media accounts for his children, you got to stop that.
Yeah. I think of how, when Kanye goes on a rant, what do? What is the actual game plan of the Kardashian clan to be like, what he's saying is wacky. Do we choke off the oxygen and not pay attention to it? But he's saying things that we need to address, and he obviously was part of our family. So it's a very tricky situation. This is what Ricky Martin is sort of facing. I'm not saying Kanye West is as maladjusted or even maladjusted,
but also Kanye has a very different platform than Ricky Martin's nephew.
True. Ricky Martin's nephew, I guess you can sort of cast him and quarantine that problem in a more effective way than you can deal with Kanye West, who's got tens of millions
and
of
Kanye
followers.
could argue part of his brand is his social media presence and his personality that could affect him if he's not allowed to post.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the case with Ricky Martin's nephew. So
I agree. It's very sad though to see relatives suing each other. I always think of this when I see this lawsuit. I mean, we're looking for the facts, we're looking for salacious details and things like that. It obviously seems very interesting to the public to see a lawsuit of a family member, but from the inside, what a sad state of affairs. I think of this when I follow the Britney Spears story.
Yeah.
This is a woman who now hates her father so much. I mean, you get two parents in life.
And that's what I was saying. I guess, I don't know anything about it, but I get the impression that Ricky Martin seems kind of sad about it himself.
Yes. I read this lawsuit, and it doesn't take unnecessary pot shots.
No, it's not vindictive. It's just this has to stop.
Yes, it is. I have to draw a line, and this is causing big problems in my life now, and it's time to speak up. So we'll follow that and tell you how it develops as well. Let's go to our last story, which is at least a little bit more fun. So we started with the Queen's declining health. We got even sadder with Ricky Martin suing his nephew.
Let's get into some good stuff.
Let's do some lighthearted stuff. So this Harry Styles and Chris Pine saga has now, I think, come to a conclusion. Sometimes we're left with a lot of uncertainty, and people have to read signs and figure out what happened. Here's where we are. So obviously the movie Don't Worry Darling, fraught with controversy. I haven't seen one like this in a while.
It doesn't matter how the movie does at this point.
Doesn't matter.
It's a memorable movie from now on just because of all this circus around it.
You know what this feels like? I was looking for an example of where the stories about the making of the movie swamped what the actual movie was. Geely is the best example I have. It doesn't matter if Geely was Citizen Kane. Yeah. Geely
Everybody
was so
knows
crazy.
Geely, but almost nobody saw it.
Nobody saw it.
But we all remember
Can you tell me
it.
the plot of Geely? No.
I have no idea.
I have no idea, but it is a movie that is known in the zeitgeist for all the controversy surrounding it. This is kind of like that. So Harry Styles, when they're at the Venice Film Festival, we all have seen the video at this point, comes out to the stage. Chris Pine is already sitting down next to Olivia Wilde, and there's an appearance that he may have spit on Chris Pine as he's sitting down. He makes a sort of angry face, but
he sort of purses his lips.
Purses a little bit.
You don't see any spit. No.
You don't see it.
You see Chris Pine sort of freeze at that exact moment.
Yes. Stop clapping.
Yeah.
Look down and make a sort of confused look, as did that just actually happen look, and people went nuts. This is like, did I just witness Chris Pine being spit on by Harry Styles, two huge stars? For a while, nobody said anything. So the internet just ran wild with, did we just watch Harry Styles, this huge pop star and budding actor, spit on Chris Pine, who's known as a nice guy? It was very, very strange.
Even if they had friction on the set, who knows if they did or not, even if they did, what a weird way to express it between two A-list people. I'm going to spit on you in the audience
publicly
at the premiere.
Yes.
What?
Although then some people's minds go wild. My mind goes wild. That's the best time to spit on someone because no one will think you actually spit on someone. You don't do private spit.
I like that you think about the best time to spit on people.
The best time is when you can deny it in public. Hey, no, I was just right there. I'm hiding in plain sight. So they've both now spoken about this in different ways. Chris Pine got, who is the victim of the spit if it happened, basically killed the story. He said this
through a representative.
Through a representative, that's right. And tell us what he said. Do you remember?
His rep says this is a ridiculous story, a complete fabrication, and the result of an odd online illusion that is clearly deceiving and allows for foolish speculation.
Right. And he said, let us be clear, Harry Styles did not spit on Chris Pine. So once the alleged victim says the spit didn't happen, it probably didn't happen.
Probably didn't.
Or there's a massive cover-up, and then you're really in tinfoil hat conspiracy. Harry Styles has now played with it a little bit. He went on stage at, he was at
Madison Square Garden.
Madison Square Garden, obviously a huge venue. And he's on stage, and he's getting known for some antics on stage that get play. And this is obviously going to be one of them. He said, this is our 10th show at Madison Square Garden. It's wonderful, wonderful to be back in New York. I just popped over very quickly to Venice to spit on Chris Pine.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful to be back in New York. I just popped very quickly to Venice to spit on Chris Pine.
So he's joking, but fret not, we're back. So he made a joke of it. Chris Pine said it didn't happen. I sort of wish they were in tension. I sort of wish Chris Pine said it did happen and Harry Styles didn't. Then we'd have more juice and more of a story. But it sounds like this is just more of the controversy, more fuel for this fire.
Yeah.
What do you think it'll do to the movie? What do you think it'll do? Good business?
I think it will do all right because, one, Harry Styles has a lot of fans.
Yep.
So I think they were going to go see this anyway.
There's some curiosity about, is he a good actor? He was good in Dunkirk.
And it doesn't. It looks
potential.
like a pretty good movie to me. It's got like a kind of
Stepford
Wives sort of suspense thriller kind of thing to it.
I like
Olivia
Olivia
Wilde.
Actress.
I like Olivia Wilde.
She did Booksmart, yes?
Yes.
Great movie.
So she's already like respected as a filmmaker in addition to being an actress. So it probably would have done okay anyway.
Yes.
I think now the curiosity factor, maybe people don't go to the theater just out of that curiosity, but once it's streaming, a lot of people are going to check it out.
Now, it didn't work out for Geely, as we compared it to. Geely generated some interest, then people saw it, and was a flop, a bomb of sorts, although it probably made more money due to the controversy than it would have made as a film itself.
Probably.
I think this could be a good movie. It was very highly anticipated before all this controversy. Because it had a cool cast. I mean,
and it's Harry Styles doing sex scenes. Like, people were...
Yes.
A lot of people are very into that. So, there was just that audience already there. But now...
It's the most anticipated movie that is not a Marvel or a DC type movie in a long while. This is sort of an interesting film. We'll have to see how it does, but I'm sorry to say Spitgate has a beginning, a middle, and an end. I think it's done.
You know who probably loved this most of all? Not for the obvious reason, but Olivia Wilde. Not just that it's more press for the movie, but she's had so many stories about her and Shia LaBeouf and Florence Pugh and all these kind of things. And this has taken all the spotlight off of that.
Yeah, it's true.
And now she can just be the director and talk about her movie and doesn't have to worry about all that because people are like, who did Harry spit on Chris?
Yes, I didn't think about it. It has sort of shifted attention away from the Jason Sudeikis, the romance with her and Harry Styles, whether she was broken up or not. She's now done an article recently where she says it's crazy. She did an interview, I think, with Vanity Fair recently where she said, it's crazy to say that I cheated on Jason Sudeikis. The relationship was in decline for a long period of time before I got with Harry Styles. But
and then she could have just said, plus it's Harry Styles.
Plus it's Harry Styles. I mean, look at him. He's our generation's David Bowie. What did you want me to do? What do you want me to do? It's like Angelina with Brad on Mr. and Mrs. Smith. What are you supposed to do? We're the two hottest people on earth.
Yeah.
So that'll do it. We'll check out the movie and check out the podcast tomorrow.
All right.
Thanks.